Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Top Flight Pod. You know what it is. You know what we're here to do. We're back on screen today. Beautiful Austin, Texas. I'm with my boy, my G. Primo, what's up, mate? How are you doing today? Weird little moment this weekend. We were with the Patreon slash Discord members this past Friday, hanging out, drinking some brewskis at the Bolden Acres with our very good friend Alex, kind of like a going away with the members of the chat. And I slipped up and I called you Eric. I think this is the first time I've ever called you Eric, mate. You've always been Primo to me, mate. So, Primo, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. No, it was a good time at Bolden Acres for everyone that went out there. Appreciate everyone that went out for Alex. It was a good time. I don't think I haven't had that many jellyfish in a while, so
Yeah.
definitely a good time. And yeah, bro, you called me Eric. I looked over. I'm like, I was like, who's Eric, bro? Who's he?
My bad, dude. My bad. No, it was definitely like a little bit of a like a slip up moment, but it is what it is, right? And one thing about those jellyfishes that you do mention, Primo, I was taking care of the tab, and I saw that they were $9. And I was like, dude, at the stadium they're $18, dude. Like, Primo, $18. It's a $9 difference. Whatever they're doing at Q2 Stadium, hey, keep it up. You got a good business plan going up out there. I mean, $9 difference. It is what it is, Primo. They are delicious. I had a few myself, but we were there saying goodbye. Well, one of the times that we'll get together to say goodbye to our good friend Alex. 'Cause that's two times already. We had the carne, then we had this link up, and I'm sure there's gonna be one more. We're gonna have episode 300 with Alex because this is 299. So excited for that beautiful setup. And a lot of topics to get into tonight, Primo. So before we do that, I want to send a shout out to everybody on the Patreon, everybody on the Discord chat. The conversation is all over the place. It's crazy. It's footy. It's political. It's awesome. I love it, and it's our followers, our Patreon members, in a nutshell. So I just want to send a shout out to them. Shout out to everybody on the Patreon, everybody on the Discord, and the conversation continues there. So, Primo, let's get into the topics. The first thing that I wanted to get into today is probably maybe something that is gonna be a huge discussion next week. Well, when this podcast comes out, we're going into the new week. Monday is right around the corner, and I'm talking about Facundo Torres, mate. This gentleman from Uruguay, he's currently playing at Palmeiras in Brazil. He's currently the talk of the town, Primo. Why? Well, because apparently Austin FC is close to signing winger Facundo Torres from Palmeiras, like I just mentioned, as a DP for a reported $9.5 million. That's USD. However, Primo, there has been other reports that have come out where they are stating that the fee is actually $10 million. I believe that's from German Garcia Grova, if I'm not mistaken. $10 million, I mean, it's just a slight difference from the initial fee from Tamboga, that 9.5 mil. But he'll be a DP for Austin FC, is what the reports are coinciding in. And I just want to get your thoughts on this first. Primo, his medicals are apparently going to be done in Brazil before his move to Austin. So it's his return to MLS. We know that he was with Orlando. So I just want to get your thoughts on this before I go on my rant about Facundo Torres. Go ahead, mate.
I mean, it's great. I think it's awesome that we're linked to someone like him. Not only linked, but it seems like it's really close to almost being a done deal. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
just those last couple of things that need to be tightened up, and he's good to go. So I'm really glad that we're getting someone in to kind of cover that DP spot as well. We kind of moved quick from Bucati,
Mm-hmm.
and he seems like a good player. He seems, I think, something that we will need, something that we will benefit from. Goes, head on, great dribbler, can score goals, is familiar with the league already. So
Correct. Yeah, correct.
and the price tag, it's understandable. It's, I think, you're paying, you're getting someone from the Brazilian league, Palmeiras, a decent team. They're gonna ask for, some cash. So I think it's understandable. But good pickup, I think.
Well, you talk about the money, right? And Palmeiras, right? They're taking an L on this transfer fee. They're losing money on Facundo Torres, and I actually reached out to somebody that I know quite well that is a big Palmeiras and an Orlando fan. So I was like, hey, I know somebody that follows both teams. I'm gonna reach out to them, and I'm gonna see what they think about all of this going on. But before I read their response to my question, I do want to point out, Primo, that Germán Garcia Groba is also had also reported that it's going to be a 4-year deal. And he, like I said earlier, he's the one that is reporting a $10 million fee for Facundo Torres to Austin FC. Now, one thing that I was researching before getting on the pod, Primo, was how much he made at Orlando, right? Because everybody knows that he was killing it in the state of Florida, right? So in 2023, per MLSPA, he was making just under $1 million. He was making 993,000, Primo. And then in 2024, he gets a raise to 1.8 million. That's with Orlando. Now you were telling me, of course, you were reminding me that they won the Open Cup out there. I remember they got rings for that. That was pretty cool. And speaking of his time in Orlando, Primo, because they do get a cut, they get 15%. That is being reported from Brazil, and also I believe Tom Bogert included that in his initial report of Facundo to Austin FC. But with Orlando, he had 61 games, 10 goals, 6 assists. I'm sorry, no, that's with Palmeiras. For Orlando, Primo, he had 123 games, 47 goals, and 20 assists with over 10,000 minutes played. For Palmeiras, he had 61 games, 10 goals, 6 assists, over just over 3,600 minutes down there in Brazil for the Giants in green. Now, the positioning gets interesting with Facundo Torres, Primo, because we're all wondering, well, where is he going to play? Where is he going to slot in for Coach Nico in this team? Well, he played 24 games for Palmeiras on the right. He played 21 games as a left winger, and he played as a left winger at the Club World Cup for Palmeiras. And he also had 9 games as like a center attacking midfielder, Primo, that cam role that a lot of people have been asking for in the Austin FC fan base. So I just want to get, kind of your thoughts, Primo, on maybe where he's going to slot into. I know I'm kind of going all over the place, mentioning kind of what he was making, where he could slot in. But to me, this guy is going to come play as a winger for Austin FC. But I do like, Primo, that he can play some games in the center if he is asked to do that, because we know that Coach Nico likes to mess with his formations and move stuff around. But what do you think, where is Facundo going to slot in for Austin FC, mate? Because there are possibilities.
Yeah, I think the obvious choice is going to be that right side, especially to kind of fill in, for Bugatti. You got one leaving, and then you have one coming in, and that you can put in the same position, and you might not have to worry too much about experimenting and finding the right guy. Seeing that he has some good minutes, some good experience on that side, maybe just slot it in. I agree with you though. I would want to see him in that cam position. Kind of seems like he kind of drifts into the middle sometimes already. So he has good vision, can pass the ball and, finds those open spaces. And I think just because we've been missing a cam player for a while now, it's something that I would maybe want to see every now and then, see if it works out. If it does, great. But at the end of the day, it's good that we are bringing in someone that's versatile, that knows how to play either side, because he did have a little bit on the left as well, and there's someone that can also play in that central position.
Now, before I get into this message that I got from the person that I said that I reached out to from Palmeiras, that kind of has a good pulse on the situation, or a good pulse on his time down there. I do want to say that for Austin, this is a good signing. This is a good move for Austin FC. I don't think I've seen a lot of people kind of push back on this. I know that they've been asking for that camp, for that chance creator. But you have Jayden Nelson that had a great game against Guatemala for Canada this weekend. I know that it is Wate, but Wate has been getting better every single year. Do not sleep on them. Now, Jayden Nelson is a chance creator. We're going to talk about him here soon, but he had 3 in that game versus Wate. You also have Facundo Torres, who is absolutely going to be electric for you in the attack. And we talk about where he can play, right? Well, I don't really see him in the midfield. I wouldn't mind if he does slot in there, because things can happen. You can be asked to do many things under Coach Nico. But one thing that I saw, Primo, from his goal catalog, especially with Orlando, is that he has a beautiful left-footed shot. I mean, the curl, the finesse on his shots are absolutely fantastic. And it's not just that, Primo. When I was looking at his catalog with Orlando, I couldn't help but remember the goals that Sebastian Drusi scored for Austin FC. I'm not even kidding. There were some goals that were almost mirrors of what Sebastian Drusi did for Austin FC. They were superstar goals. They were out of nowhere goals. They were one touch control and then an instinctive finish that made it impossible for any keeper in the league to try to save it. And he terrorized MLS pretty much for quite some time. You know, he was here and he did good. That's what got him the move down there to Palmeiras. And when I asked this person, I said, "Hey, well, how did he do down there? What do you kind of think of him? What do you think about this move?" This is what they said. He said, "So I thought he was good for Orlando, but nothing special. For Palmeiras, he's simply not good enough. Never was. Fans are happy he left, and it's why they're taking a loss. He isn't a bad signing for Austin, but he ain't winning you MLS Cup." So, Primo, that's definitely like a take that is going to bring a lot of Austin FC fans maybe down to reality, maybe kind of coming down back to earth. But maybe he's not going to win you the MLS Cup by himself. However, the partnership with Brendan Vasquez, maybe Mirto Usuni has that wake-up season that a lot of people have been asking for of him. And who knows what Jayden Nelson is going to do under Coach Nico for Austin FC. So, Primo, just final thoughts on Facundo Torres. We get the opinion from Palmeiras, and it is true. I have seen a lot of discussion from Brazil, from fans down there in South America, that they're saying, finally, happy, I'll take him to the airport. Finally, he is gone. And I think that's going to play into him, you know, slotting in with Austin FC because you're going to get a player that's maybe low in confidence, right? This is me speculating, Primo, but he's probably low in confidence, looking for minutes, probably trying to get that feeling that he had in Orlando back in MLS. Well, here comes opportunity with Austin FC. Going to be a DP here for Rodo Borrell's team, for Nico, and just trying to earn that aura back. And I really like that hunger part of it. It's not a move for him that he earned, you know, kind of something for him to kind of spoil on. This is a move for him to kind of rediscover his best form. So I like that aspect of it. You know what I'm saying, Primo? It's not something that, okay, well, I'm going to sign this big contract and kind of chill out. No, he's, to me, this Austin move, Primo, for him is rediscovering his best form, his best self, and kind of just getting ready for everything that's going to come for him and his national team as well. So I think this is going to be good for him. It's going to be good for Austin FC, Primo. But any final thoughts that you have on this situation with Facundo Torres?
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, you know, he's probably not going to win, you know, everything by himself. But I think at the end of the day, it's a great addition to the guys that we've already
100%.
added to the team. It kind of just adds on top of it. I think that, you know, we've added some great guys this season so far, and it's crazy that Orlando fan said that, because in the Open Cup 2022 he scored a brace and assisted a goal. So it's like this guy can show up in big moments like that, and that's someone that we you know that we need. That's someone that is that's definitely that's someone that Austin hasn't really seen or had in a while. You know, we've had really big games. We've had final. We've had you know, these big you know, playoff games and things like that where no one showed up. And so if this guy can show up in the final like that, then that's fine. Give, you know, bring him on.
100%. 100%, Primo. And last thing, thank you for bringing that up, because I saw something that just stuck in the back of my mind as I was getting my notes ready on Facundo Torres. You know, one thing people mentioned, that he has a super left foot, that he doesn't go right. His left foot is absolutely incredible. So, you know, if he can work on that weak foot, fantastic. But maybe 8 out of 10 times you're not beating him getting to that left foot based on what we saw on what he did with Orlando. But one thing that I wanted to point out is that there was a penalty that he took against Charlotte FC, and the commentator says, Primo, he says that to keep Orlando's playoff hopes alive or something like that. Like, it was a big moment. It was a huge moment. And he slots it. Well, Kalina saves it, but he puts it into the back of the net. But he's there for these big moments. He's there for these high pressure situations. Some things that fans kind of criticize Mirto on, right? So whenever Brandon Vasquez comes back, he is taking control of the penalty situations. But like you mentioned, it's good to have somebody of that kind of character, of that kind of aura, of that kind of pedigree, come to MLS, come back to MLS, especially after what he might have picked up in Brazil. It is a tough environment. It is a hectic environment. Not everybody is going to be cut out for that, and they're taking a loss. Austin FC is definitely, cashing in on this situation that occurred in Brazil. But hopefully, this player rediscovers his best form. Primo gets his touches in down here with Austin FC, and if everything goes well, we could have a Facundo Torres very similar to what he did in the league in 2022, 23, 24, whenever he was killing it with Orlando, winning that Open Cup and winning big games for Orlando City. So I think it's imminent. Should be announced, I believe, early this week coming up. But you know how things work in the professional soccer world. It could be Wednesday, it could be Thursday, it could be Friday. And one big thing, Primo, we can talk about that real quick. I think the Jader Obreon situation is kind of tied into this because we all know that Austin FC, before they can bring in somebody, they have to get rid of players so they can free up those international and senior roster spots. And there's been an update, Primo, a quick update. Apparently, Jader Obreon today on social media, he posted a story. And you know how stories are, you post a story for two reasons. Number one, it's a beautiful sky, and you just got to take a photo. Number two, you want somebody to see this. And Jader Obreon, on his story, he opted for the one, I want people to see this, I believe. And it is just a quick boomerang of him chilling in his living room. I believe the location is somewhere not too far from Cali Stadium, and he's watching Cali. And the team that he's rumored to be joining is Deportivo Cali. And the team that Austin FC and Rodo Morel wants him to move on to is Deportivo Cali. Everything is pointing for him to be joining Deportivo Cali, but there is a holdup, Primo. We know that the contract situation is the thing that is the hurdle in this transfer saga. It's going to be a weird one because if this was easy as some people think it is, as to say, okay, well, he's gone and go and leave, blah, 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 it would have already happened. Either somebody doesn't want to pay up and somebody wants to get their money, or this is not going to happen. This is somewhat of I guess you could call it a contract standoff, I must say. I believe that's what this is looking like, because if it wasn't that, to me, Primo, this should have already been wrapped up. The player wants to go to Cali. Cali wants him. Austin wants to sell him. So what's the holdup? It has to be money. Somebody doesn't want to pay up, and somebody doesn't want to take a loss. That's what it's looking like to me, Primo. I'm sure as the days go on, everybody in Austin is going to connect these dots. But I know I'm kind of going off of right. I feel like a crazy person right now, but it is research that we have been making, things that we have been putting together ourselves. So what do you think, Primo? What do you think is going on? What is holding up the situation with Jader?
It's an interesting situation for sure. I would maybe the contract. I would also think maybe the player maybe has to put a little bit more pressure on these teams. Like, hey, if y'all want me to move on, let's get it going or something. But first things first, this has to happen before anything can move on with any other player. So, hopefully this is kind of on the move. Hopefully it gets done by this week. Maybe they kind of chilled out a little bit, figured out the stuff, and then they're like, okay, let's move on. But it's a little hard to put a finger on it. I would agree with you. It has to be with something with the finances. But knowing Rodo, I think he will figure it out in the best way that it will benefit us.
I agree.
For sure. So
I agree. So we'll see. This is just going to be announced in the coming days. Facundo, just like we mentioned earlier, according to Vene Casagrande, his medicals will be done in Brazil ahead of his $10 million move to Austin FC as a designated player, being reported by Tom Bogert. Then, of course, we have his stats here. He's a right winger. And, of course, we have some of his information here. Right winger, attack. We see the positions that Facundo Torres has occupied in the past. Left wing, attacking mid on the right, like we mentioned. His valuation currently at $13 million. That is what Transfer Market has him listed at. Austin is apparently cashing in at $10 million. So you see how there is some positives in signing Facundo Torres at that fee at $10 million is what it looks like it is being finally reported at 25-year-old Primo. He's very young. I think a lot of Austin FC fans should be excited about this signing. Like we mentioned earlier, his numbers in Brazil aren't the best, but the level of football down there might have been, a bit of a challenge for him. Coming back to MLS might be the best option for him to rediscover his best form in such an important year like 2026. So, Primo, I think you and I are in agreement that this is a solid move for Austin FC. Excited. Now, the next thing is how much is he going to earn? How much is Facundo Torres going to be making with Austin FC? Because DPs, they make something different than everybody else. Now, what I said is I believe he's going to be making more than Osuni, less than Brandon Vasquez. I don't know if you agree with me on that, but I think he's going to be making more than Osuni, less than Brandon Vasquez. We'll see where he lands, but we'll have more information as this kind of develops. But it's almost a done deal, almost set in stone. Facundo Torres to Austin FC is pretty much a here we go, just waiting for everybody to kind of be in agreement and probably have it out the door. Facundo Torres at the St. David's Performance Center. Excited to go to his presentation whenever that happens, Primo. But alrighty, moving on to some of the other topics, that we have here tonight. Now, I wanted to talk about something that has social media shook, Primo. I'm sure it has you shook as a Real Madrid supporter, even though you're wearing PSG right now. I'm sure it has you shook as somebody that covers Austin FC, right? James Rodríguez. James Rodríguez, Primo, is apparently on the radar of Austin FC. That is what we had posted. That is what is being reported. Now, Anthony Precourt in the past, Primo, has come out and he has called us out and he said, hey, I appreciate the coverage, but inaccurate. They have the opportunity to do that at all times. Nobody is stopping this James rumor, this James conversation. And even then, Primo, more people are starting to report on it. Now, there is a gentleman by the name of Guillermo Arango who kind of stuck his neck out and put some information out there from Jotas Matilla on a show called La FM Más Fútbol. He kind of retracted a little bit. Not really. He just kind of cleared things up recently where he said, hey, it wasn't me that said it. Jotas Matilla wrote to me, and I said it on air that James to Austin, sign it, here we go. That's pretty much what he came out in the new episode, in the new show, in the new live that they had. You can check it out on YouTube. This is a big topic in South America. It's growing in North America, and James is a worldwide name, mate. I mean, as you would know. But the latest update, Primo, the latest information that we have are from the words of Guillermo Arango in the latest episode that they had put out. And we'll just go ahead and kind of read it. We have it here on screen. Guillermo Arango says that there has been a misunderstanding regarding the James Rodríguez situation. He says, I have a very good source who is well informed of all the movements of James Rodríguez. Now, I'd like to add that this is the source that is most likely the one that confirmed to him that James Rodríguez was joining León in the past. I think people need to know that. That's probably who this source is. Guillermo Arango also goes on to say, I told him, look what's going on with Austin FC. Is it true or not? Because pretty much, I think, Primo, he got a little fed up of all the attention he was getting of the James Rodríguez to Austin FC, and he was saying, you know what, I didn't even say it. It was Jotas Matilla. But he goes on to say, his source said, quote, he told me, quote, yes, they're interested, but it is not the closest offer. He also goes on to say, there are offers from Argentina, the United States, and from Colombia. Now, those are all the quotes that we posted, but in the clip, Primo, he also went on to say that James doesn't want to go to Colombia. He doesn't see that as an option right now, especially in a World Cup year. And Primo, before I get your thoughts, I just want to add one thing. Now, this is from Marca. It doesn't get more official than Marca. Yes, Marca. I know that sometimes they get a little bit too kind of dramatic with the Barca and Real Madrid situations. But from Marca, Primo, we get this piece of information here, and I haven't seen this. This is new to me, so that's why I wanted to add this onto the show tonight. Now, apparently from Marca, they are reporting that this agreement between James and Austin FC would include, in addition to economic claims, a series of logistical benefits that the number 10, which is occupied for Austin FC right now. We have a player that occupies the 10, so we need to kind of backtrack on that. Is Mirtu gonna give up his number to James Primo. But anyways, this also goes on to say, Marca goes on to say, James considers. Well, let me just start over. A series of logistical benefits that the number 10 considers essential for his performance, from a personalized physical preparation team to the guarantee of competitive minutes, something that the coach of the Colombian national team, Nestor Lorenzo, has demanded from all his references for the orbital appointment in June, talking about the World Cup there in the summer. Maybe the translation, kind of gets kind of crazy or whatnot. But Primo, that's something new. It's new to me. Everything else is just kind of recycled material. The words of Guillermo Arango. What do you think, mate? I mean, this can still happen even with the signing of Facundo Torres. And I know I'm just spieling, but this can happen, Primo. I would like to remind folks of the LAFC transfer deal that they did with Gareth Bale. Remember, everybody was like, well, how did they do it without making him a DP? How did Bale go to LAFC without being a DP? It was 1 year, Max TAM. You can only pay James 1.8 million. You cannot pay him more than that, Primo. It could be a 1 year plus an option for one more, which he probably will not take, and that's okay with Austin FC fans. I'm probably sure of that. You would get people from all over the region flying in, driving in, busing in to see this guy play at Q2 Stadium. The economic benefits would be out the door, Primo, above the roof. So what do you think, mate? I mean, is this possible for you? Do you think this can happen?
I don't know, man. It's a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot that needs to fall into place for this to
A lot
happen,
to unpack there from what
and
I
at
just
the
put out.
end,
I'm sorry.
it's really is he willing to take that kind of deal? Is he willing to take that kind of money? Or is Austin FC willing to bend a little bit for just one player? Like, hey, give me the 10, here you go, or I need these minutes, give them to me. There's a lot of demands right there that hasn't that Austin FC hasn't really dealt with before, and it's a big name for sure. Um, I hope it happens. I hope it happens. We need a team. We need a good team if we're gonna compete.
Pump
But
the brakes. You just mentioned something, Primo. How would this affect the locker room? Because you mentioned something very key. Austin has never dealt with this kind of personality, with this kind of, you're gonna. This is a Messi effect almost to your club. This is the biggest star in Colombian football, Real Madrid player, had his spell in Leon, whatever you want to call that. Sure, Bayern Munich guy. I mean, he's been in some of the best teams across the world. Everton player, whatever you want to call his time there. I mean, this would change the landscape of your club overnight if he decides to join people. I mean, but you also got to think about the dynamic of the locker room. You think that this would be? I mean, it has to have a huge implication on kind of things moving forward, especially kind of in that dynamic of the Austin FC locker room. Things would change.
yeah, it's how what are you ready? Are you ready to deal with this kind of pressure and this
Uh-huh.
everything that comes with it? If you're able to manage it, then great. There's a lot of good benefits that will come with signing a player like this. And I'm glad that there's a link there. It not only if it doesn't happen, it puts Austin FC's name out there as like, hey, this team's maybe really trying to sign these big players, and it gets us out there. But um, it's it's gonna take a lot. It's gonna take a lot for him to come over. Maybe I know he definitely wants to come to the U.S. I think that's a for sure because of
Well,
the World Cup.
well,
That
in the U.S., what we know is that the offers are from Orlando. I believe he was linked to Columbus Crew for a bit, and then there's Austin FC. Now, what we were seeing in some reports was that Orlando was throwing the double of what Austin FC was apparently offering, and I saw some reports saying that Austin had apparently offered him $4 million a year. That's not possible under the max tab. Like I mentioned earlier, it has to be $1.8 million. If not, it is not happening. I mean, if it does not underneath a max time, I mean, I'd love to know. So, like I said, this is probably a max time. If not, it is likely not happening. And there's teams in for James. They said that Austin's offer was not the closest one. There's teams in for him. Apparently, two giants from Argentina that aren't River Plate that isn't Boca Juniors. I wonder who it is. He didn't name drop them, but whoever pays James the most money is most likely going to get this guy. Now, Austin is going to have to offer something. Like Marca mentioned, Austin's offer has to have a really juicy package where we're talking about the personal staff, the trainers, the transportation, making them comfortable. Is he going to be happy here? It has to be heavy on that side from Austin FC in order for this to work, because the money ain't going to be too nice from Austin FC's point. It's going to have to be a great city life for 1 year, comfortable, getting ready for the World Cup, perfect for him, getting ready for the biggest stage of world football. I'm talking about the World Cup. That is the way that Austin FC is probably going to have to approach this if they want to be serious contenders to have James Rodríguez play for them in 2026. But anything else you want to add, Primo, before we move on?
No, I mean, when I first heard the name, I definitely got excited. Being a Real Madrid fan and just being linked to a big name is always exciting. I'm waiting for it to happen. We got a little taste with Brandon Vasquez, but I think this James Rodríguez signing, if it were to happen, would be like, way past that. So,
Yeah.
If it happens, great. If it doesn't, we still got Facundo.
Of course. I keep adding things to the topics. Last thing for sure. One more thing that I added to my notes. If this is an indication of the new ownership that came in, this is marvelous, right? Because there was a group of new investors that came into the Austin FC ownership middle 2025. And I want to send a shout out to two names that I remember off the top of my head that are important in this. Number one, Jenny Just. She's been doing some podcasts with Front Office Sports. She's been talking about doing things like the Premier League, making these big signings. And what have fans been asking for from Rodo? Those names you would not believe. Is James Rodríguez a name you would not believe, Primo? Does he fall
Yes,
into that
of
category?
course. Yes, of
100%.
course, 100%.
And last Monday, Primo, when we were allowed to the training, to the 15-minute sneak peek of the first training of the season, the media availability with Coach Nico and Dani Pereira, I saw in the distance, and we included it in the reel that we posted of the kind of recap of that morning. You saw Anthony Precourt, majority owner. You saw Rolo Borrell, sporting director, and also Matt Holsizer. Hopefully, I'm not butchering his last name, but we'll call him Matt H. He was there as well. He's Jenny Just's partner. Jenny, not relationship, but business-wise partner. So these people are getting involved. These people are coming with the bankroll, coming with the money, and 10 million for Facundo. Indication of that investment, indication of that commitment. I believe if you land James Rodríguez for Austin FC, this is just dreamland when we're talking about on paper. Things still have to work out. These are huge personalities that you now have to deal with, navigate in the locker room. But that's why Rodo Borrell was hired, Primo. That is why he was hired. He was hired for these exact moments, to bring in players like this, to convince these kind of players to come play for your team, Anthony Precourt. So we'll see. If this does go over the line, this will be the biggest signing in Austin FC history. It'll be a marquee signing for the new ownership that is coming in. And it'll be Rodo Borrell's biggest signing. Biggest signing whatsoever. If he cried for Brandon Vasquez presentation, I better see rivers for James Rodríguez, brother. I better see rivers. But okay, we're gonna cap it there because we gotta move on. We gotta move on here tonight. Gotta keep the ball rolling. Now, the next thing, Primo, the next thing that we had on the notes is Jon Gallagher's contract extension. Now, this is one of the hardest workers, mate. This is a guy that is everywhere, literally everywhere for Austin FC, for both coaches in club history. Josh Wolff used them all over the pitch. Nico Esteves has used them all over the pitch. Doesn't matter where you ask him to go. He plays on the right. He plays on the left. He plays on offense. He plays on defense. Sometimes in the same game. He's gone from offense to defense, from defense to offense. That's absolutely fantastic. That's tough to do mentally. Mind you, physically, having the skill set to do that. Jon Gallagher, most appearances by an outfield player in club history, Primo, and third most in the goal scoring list for Austin FC with just 14. Not good. Good for him, stat wise, on paper. That's great for Johnny G. But he's here until 2028 with an option for 2029, Primo. What do you think about this? Johnny G here to stay for quite a bit.
Johnny G, what a lad. What a lad, Johnny G. No, good for him. I love seeing stuff like this. A player that's been here since the beginning, wanting to still be here and signing that contract extension just shows that he's he's willing to fight for something. He believes in his team. He believes that something can come out of it. Um, a hard worker, great guy. We had him on the pod last year.
Yep.
Um, and it's just it's just something you like to see. I'm sure he's going to provide. I don't know how good he is of a leader, but I think he is someone that people look up to in that locker room. Someone, especially him being there
Yeah.
for a long time. Um, so we have that kind of figure already in the locker room. That's always good. So shout out John G and congrats on the extension.
100%, mate. Now, you mentioned him being a leader or whatnot on Monday, and I'm going to reference Monday quite a few, maybe tonight. I don't know, in the future or whatnot. But they were the boys were warming up, doing some quick exercises in the room with all the windows before getting onto the training pitch. And the media was able to see some of it. We were in like a certain angle where we got like a corner window or whatnot. And through the glass, I saw that a lot of the young guys were around Jon Gallagher, mate. Look at that. I saw a lot of the young guys were around Johnny G. Some of the super draft picks, some of the young guys, they were around Johnny G, kind of floating around him or whatnot. And I love that. I love, seeing that. A guy like Jon Gallagher, which I think he's one of the last 5 players left from that inaugural roster. So he knows his way around the St. David's Performance Center. He knows his way around Q2. He should know his way around Austin a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, by now, Johnny G. But leader right there, I think I'd say a leader amongst men, Jon Gallagher, primo. I must say that, and I'm happy that he is gonna be here long term for Austin FC. The money situation, I'm not too worried about it. This could come with a raise. It could come with the same pay. It could come with less money. I hope that they took care of him. That's one thing that I am hopeful for. We'll know that information when those numbers come out, primo. But as of now, I'm not too worried about if he were to get a raise. I think he has earned it. He's one of the most consistent, solid players that you have on this roster, and he goes everywhere for you. He will go to the moon without a helmet for you. That's Jon Gallagher for you, ladies and gentlemen. And he won the beep test for the 3rd time in a row. That should just tell you how committed he is, even in the offseason, to come in to the camp in preseason and be fit enough 3 times in a row. Once, okay, cool. Twice, all right. 3 times in a row, it's not a coincidence. Johnny G, most fit player for Austin FC, and I'm happy that he got this contract for him and for his family. Moving forward, definitely it is a big thing for the organization, but family-wise, because his family is growing, I'm happy for him. But Primo, anything else on Mr. Jon Gallagher before we move on?
No, just happy to see him staying here a little longer. Um, and just thank you, John G, for everything you've given to the club, and good luck this season.
100%, man. Now he says, this is from the press release. He says, quote, "I love this club and city and want to continue working hard on what we've built." He also said that he feels a unique connection to the fan base, but for some reason here it is right here. He says, "Having been with this club throughout our first 5 seasons on the pitch, I feel a unique connection to the fan base and the community here." So that's exactly what you want to hear. Excuse me, Johnny G. What a lad, top lad. His family is also top, and I try to get his beer over the weekend at Golden Acres. I think his father works for Guinness. Not my not my thing. Not my thing. Not my thing. I'll stick with the jellyfishes, mate. But Primo knows it. I left that thing on the table. I left it on the table. But Guinness, not my thing. What, Primo? Why you laughing,
But
man?
it's because you left it on the table and it stayed there for like 30, 40 minutes, bro. No,
No,
it
it
got
was like
hot.
15. It was like 15. It was like 15, 20 minutes. Hey, but somebody drank it. I don't know who it was, but somebody got rid of that Guinness. But hey, it is what it is. I actually really enjoyed that cranberry whiskey drink. I had like 2 of those. They were fantastic. They were fantastic. But all righty, Primo, we do got to move on now. Some other quick news, some other things that we do got to cover real quick. This was important. Owen Wolff undergoes successful surgery. Now, this is something that he was dealing with apparently with all last season, pretty much in 2025. Now, the official press release goes, Austin FC announced that midfielder Owen Wolff underwent a successful operation on Tuesday, January 13th, to address a sports hernia. The procedure was planned in coordination with the club, and Wolff is estimated to make a full recovery by mid to late February. He will immediately begin rehabilitation at the St. David's Performance Center. So Owen Wolff gets surgery real quick, dealing with a little bit of a sports hernia problem. But some people that kind of work in the field that know a little bit of the topic of the injury, of the rehabilitation process, they said it's something light. He will be back in no time. Kind of just an issue of him kind of maybe going too hard in the paint for Austin FC. And he was dealing with his issue all last year, all 2025, Primo. And he had a breakout season. Breakout season. Now, I'm wondering what he's going to do in 2026, being free from this issue, being free from this discomfort or whatnot. What are your thoughts on this? Do you have any kind of knowledge on hernia and stuff?
Not too much, but from what I've heard is that it's not, it's something light. It can be serious, but if that's, I think, if you really have it go like untreated and things like that. But he should recover fast. And props to him for pushing through the whole season. Hernias, from what I heard, can hurt. There's some discomfort. You go out there playing, the last thing you want to feel is pain. You want to feel 100%. So for him to push through the season and for him to have a great season while feeling that discomfort says a lot about Owen Wolff. I'm glad he had a successful surgery, and I'm glad that he's going to be up and going by when the season starts. Maybe a little after, but it's something that shouldn't keep him out too long. So.
Now, Primo, there is a little bit of concern from the fan base. I know that on the Discord chat there was a little bit of chatter for sure. They were saying, "Oh, well, why couldn't this be done sooner? Why couldn't this be taken care of before?" Owen Wolff was a crucial player all last year, so where were you going to find the window to kind of do this? You would derail his whole momentum, I guess, and. The press release said that this was done in coordination with Owen, the club or whatnot. I'm sure they figured this was the best time to do it. I'm sure they planned this months before, right? At least that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping, that they're a responsible front office with their players, the coaching staff. I'm sure that this is on calendars, on planners, on agendas, on the back of their minds. This probably didn't let them sleep for a while. But it's finally done. And Owen will begin recovering immediately, according to the press release. That is what they tell us. And at least the only, maybe one of the few positives from this Primo is you get Owen Wolff free from this discomfort. He gets a month off. He's fresh off that U22 contract. So this is a good little reset for Owen, right? You got a new contract. You got a little bit of a time off. You miss a little bit of preseason, sure, but does Owen really need it? Does Owen really need a preseason? Are you really worried about him not having that preseason? I'm not too worried about that. You know what I mean?
No,
preseasons are important. I'm not saying that, but some players need it more than others. Is what I'm trying to get across here. But all right, Primo. Let's go on to one of the next topics here, and it is Jayden Nelson, bro. Now, Jayden Nelson, he is a topic of discussion tonight here on the podcast. Why? Well, he had a good game, a great game, I must say, against Guatemala. Shout out to Los Chapines. Canada defeats them 1-0 in LA at BMO Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. We see some videos coming out from Pase Filtrado. Jayden Nelson played 81 minutes. He had a 7.3 match rating, Primo, and his stats here we have on screen. This is according to FootMob, of course. Let me read them off. On offense, he had 81 minutes played. Shots on target, 1 out of 1. Of course, he had one shot, one on target, 100% there. Accurate passes, Primo, 81%. He created 3 chances. There's your chance creator, Bangalov. Also, he had 53 touches, 4 in the opponent's box. Primo, long balls, 1 of 1. 50% successful dribbles, Primo. He was dispossessed 3 times. He was offsides just 1 time. Now, on defense, this is something that a lot of offensive players sometimes neglect. Sometimes they don't do well enough, Primo. Now, Jayden Nelson was doing this pretty damn good against Guatemala. Jayden Nelson was stepping up. He was, I'd say he can be credited for stopping 2 goals, I must say. the stats go: 2 tackles, 1 interception, 2 recoveries. He had a 40% ground duels won, 6 out of 15. Aerial duels, he had 1 out of 3. That's 33%. He was fouled once, and he committed 2 fouls. So, Primo, I know a lot of folks maybe didn't really, they weren't able to keep up with this game. I had a hard time finding it because there was a big NFL match and all my links weren't working. I kept getting kicked off of mine or whatnot. Pirlo TV wasn't coming in clutch. Nothing was working. It was just moments that I was watching this game. But just kind of based off what you saw on social media from what we posted, I mean, what are your thoughts? New Austin FC player Jayden Nelson, showing some good signs for things to come in 2026. Number 7 for Canada. I like that.
Yeah, I think he's settling in with the national team. Definitely has that World Cup and on his mind, and but it's good to see that he's getting some minutes in. He's getting some games in right now, even before the preseason starts. So this is good for him. I think this is things are going, I think, how maybe he wants as of right now, and hopefully he kind of just brings all that into Austin and has first few games here. But good for Jayden. Good for Jayden. I like it.
100%, mate. 100%. Good for Jayden. Good for Jayden Nelson. Excited for him to arrive to Austin. We got the information from Coach Nico that he'll be arriving to training with the Verde and Black as soon as this was wrapped up, and we also got the information from Coach Nico that he's already came to Austin. He's already been in the city figuring out where he's going to stay, transportation, all that stuff that might be headaches to some soccer players that they maybe avoid. Maybe they hire people to kind of take care of for them. Well, Jayden Nelson showing some incredible maturity, some incredible commitment, I must say, to the process, this boring process, this dumb process of figuring out all these things that, I mean, he's a single guy. You don't have any children. I think he has a girlfriend, but I mean, there's a lot of guys that maybe, let somebody else handle this for him. But we get the information from Coach Nico that he's been taking care of it early. He goes to national team camp, and he's about to come back and join Austin FC for the first time ahead of the 2026 season. And I'm excited for the first look of Jayden Nelson with the team at the St. David's Performance Center. I mean, one of the best signings that Austin FC did this offseason, I must say. And we need to get somebody on here from One Soccer or from some Canadian platform that covers Vancouver or knows quite well about Jayden Nelson, because I'd like to ask him a couple questions on some things that I'm expecting and some things that I'm wondering as well from Jayden Nelson moving forward. But other than that, I'm happy for him. I think he had a solid game, and he's probably happy with his performance. And last thing I will say, Primo, his move to Austin FC was based off of solidifying his position with Canada. So his performance against Guatemala is a player that's saying, look, I'm here. Look, I want to play in the World Cup. Look at me, Jesse Marsh. Look, Canada fans, look at the commitment that I'm giving you. You know what I'm saying? And I was seeing a lot of the discussion on socials, because when you can't watch a game, you go on socials and you see, well, what are people tweeting about? What are they saying? And there was folks saying, man, look at Jayden Nelson, his commitment, this and that. So that is a good sign from Jayden Nelson and what's to come for Austin FC fans. And like I said, his whole move to Austin, Primo, was based on getting his position solidified with Canada. So he's going to be, doing dog things with Austin to get that chance to do dog things with Canada. That's the only way. You get to Canada by doing well with Austin. You see what I'm saying?
No, for
I'm
sure.
happy for that.
It ties in, for sure.
It ties in. But alrighty. We talked about Jayden. We talked about Johnny G. We talked about the James and Facundo situation. Owen Wolff is also off the notes. Just a couple more things to get into here, Primo. The new away kit has really, really surfaced this time. I mean, at first we got those little corner pictures from Mundial Mag. They were fantastic. It got people really excited. But now we get this from, I believe it's KUTV, if I'm not mistaken. But this is like a music video, song release kind of thing. I mean, it looks like La Albiceleste. I think that's what you call it, the Argentinian jersey. I mean, what do you think about this? I mean, the lighting is something that, it's not going to be consistent with this image wherever you buy this jersey at. I think we need to wait and see it for the first time in person before casting judgment. Because one thing is how it looks in photos, Primo, and another thing is how it looks on the players, how it looks on one, and how it's gonna look, kind of just in general in the stadium. So, your general thoughts on this, Primo? What do you think about this? I mean, if you can give me a 1 to 10.
I'll probably give it. I'll probably give it like a solid 8. I'm gonna go a solid 8.
8.
I'm gonna go a
Okay,
solid 8.
okay,
I like
okay.
it. I like it. It looks good. I think I, I think it'll look better. It looks better in person. I think that picture isn't doing it justice. Some of it's covered up. You don't see all the details on it, but I think from what you can see, I like the green on it. I like the pattern, the stripes. Something different on an away jersey. I don't think we've had stripes on an away jersey before. So, um, and I think that's maybe a different green we haven't used before. So,
Mm.
I like it. I give it a solid 8. I'll definitely pick it up.
Yeah, definitely picking this one up.
Definitely
Definitely
picking
picking
it
this
up.
one up. 100%. I actually saw some shoes today at TJ Maxx that looked like they would go fantastic with this jersey, but they weren't my size, unfortunately. I will be checking out other TJ Maxxes because when you find something at one TJ Maxx, it's bound to be at the other TJ Maxx up like north. The same with Ross. The same with Marshalls. Everybody in Austin. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. But this to me, Primo, is a cop 100%. I really like the black details, the black lines or whatnot. The black Yeti on it. I really like the material in some of the first leaks that we got, like this one right here on screen. It looks breathable. This is gonna be a jersey I'm gonna be rocking in August. This is gonna be a jersey I'm gonna be rocking in July. And then another thing that we saw here, the little neck thing. I think people will appreciate this. They don't want collars. I see a lot of people complaining about collars. I personally am a fan of the collar. However, I'm okay with what this is going to be for the new away jersey. Rooted in ATX, a little bit of a slogan there. And then at first, Primo, I was confused with the little tag on the bottom, but it kind of makes sense. The tree, the Congress Bridge, or whatnot. However, it looks a little AI generated, but I mean, I'm not gonna care. I'm really not gonna care. It's a purchase for me. I'm getting this whenever it comes out. Most likely gonna be on Valentine's Day. So, Bay, what's up? Valentine's Day present, fellas. Hey, you gotta, fellas, you gotta think smart, guys. Make a move. If you got a girl, ladies too. This is a moment. This is a moment where you tell him, say, hey, I want a Valentine's gift this year. I want the Austin MC jersey. Okay, anything. Think about what you want this Valentine's Day. The Austin FC jersey is an option for sure. With some Ferrero Rochers. Are you kidding me?
From
Are,
Ferrero Rocher.
are you kidding me? That's it. Wrap it up. Wrap it up, Primo. But alrighty, mate. This to me, I'm gonna go with you. It's an 8. I'm gonna go
You
with
like
you. It's an
a
8.
solid 8? I think it's a
Solid 8.
solid 8. Where
Solid 8. I
where would
think.
you where would you rank it out of the
Oh,
4 that we've had?
that's a whole other conversation, brother. I need to look at them. I can't
You
just give
guys,
you an
you
answer
gotta
right
have them in
now.
front of you.
I gotta see them in person. I think that's like a Patreon pod where we rank all these kits, honestly. But
We
this
have
is
to.
this is up there. This is up there. I don't want it to be recency bias, but it's up there. From what I'm seeing, it looks like it's going to be up there. But hey, in person, it could be a disaster, or in person, it could be even better than what I'm talking about right now. But we'll see. Um, we'll see. We'll see. Let's just leave it there. Let's just leave it there. It looks nice. The presentation was pretty cool. And somebody said, "Hey, if you're worried about how the club leaks it, you're worried too much." Because at Bolden Acres, I was talking about how some folks were saying that the rollout was kind of maybe kind of corny or whatnot. But I'm like, hey, it's kind of like a controlled demolition or whatnot. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But all right, people, moving on to some other topics. Alrighty, moving on to some other topics here. We got the kit leak out the way. Owen Wolff. Now, the last thing here that I had, Austin FC2 making some moves, mate. Now, we'll talk about the departure before the new player that has arrived. Peter Grogan, the Irish youngster, the Irish striker, the Irish forward, Pistol Pete. He departs Austin FC, mate. He signs for Athlone Town AFC back in Ireland. Official statement here from the club. He signs for the 2026 season. It looks like it is a move to get him back home. Maybe he missed his family. He was never not committed to the club. He was always dedicated to Austin MC2. He was always focused on this project. But I do have to point out that I mean I was at every Austin FC2 game, man. Peter Grogan, he was a huge force at the beginning of the season. He fizzled out in the middle. And then towards the end of the season, he struggled. He was getting a lot of pointless red cards. And he struggled. He wasn't that Peter from the beginning of the season. And I think a lot of it had to do with the temperature, with the climate, with just, kind of making that big change for him down here, Primo. And this is a move that gets him back close to his family, gets him back home or whatnot. And I think he's gonna thrive off of this. I think this is a beneficial move for him. And he was on trial at other clubs before making this move with Athlone Town AFC. So one of the things that I am wondering is if Austin got some kind of transfer fee for Peter Grogan, Primo, because he was on contract for another year with Austin. So was it a mutual termination? Was there a transfer fee involved? What we do know is that Peter is now a player of Athlone Town AFC, and I wish him nothing but the best. I did reach out to him and I sent him some words, and I just wish him the best on his future adventures. And hey, you never know. One day we might see Peter Grogan playing for the Irish national team, mate. The world spins and spins and spins, and anything is possible. But any thoughts on Pistol Pete departing Austin FC2?
I mean, I know we spoke about him earlier. I think a few pods ago. And the whole topic of him leaving. But I'm glad that he found a team. It seems like he's a hard worker. He was really trying out there and putting himself out there and going these trials and making sure that he gets seen. So maybe it was a homesick thing. Maybe he did miss home. But he this is opportunity for him to go off. He has everything he needs now to have a great season. So good luck to Peter Grogan. And that would be awesome to see, him making it into the Irish national team for sure.
No, I did meet his family one time when they came to visit him in Austin. Great group of people there. Fantastic support group for Peter Grogan. You can tell that he is loved 100%, and his family does mean a lot to him. So I wish him nothing but the best. I wish his family nothing but the best, and I hope that his career really benefits from this move back home. Hey, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. The fact is that Peter Grogan tried it, and it went the way that it went, and now I'm just wishing him the best of luck on his future things. Now, there is that departure. Now, there is a player that has arrived for him. Now, remember I said that I'm going to reference Monday quite a few? Well, Monday, while we were there as media watching the team train, everybody, I'm talking Landon Cottham, my G, Moises, Alex was there as well. We noticed that there was somebody there that looked different. Somebody there that, was somebody that it was out of the ordinary. Somebody that we hadn't seen before. It's like, this guy's new, right? Different new, right? And we were like, well, we don't know who he is. We're going to make some research once we get out of here or whatnot. And there was a video that I had taken, right? And it kind of just went like this, right? And when it went like this, it captured him in the background. And so I kind of freeze framed it, screenshotted it, and I just had it in my back pocket. And then later on, a couple days later, Austin FC2 announces that they have signed none other than, let me pull it up right here, a gentleman by the name of, pulling it up, one sec. Okay, here we go. A gentleman by the name of Ibrahima Saw on a 2-year guaranteed deal. Now, he was a free agent. Now, he had a spell in Italy, apparently. We have the official press release. It says he spent the 2024-2025 season with the Italian side Notaresco, making 27 appearances across all competitions, tallying 5 goals and 4 assists. Not bad. He is originally from Senegal, and he came out from the Senegalese kind of youth system there. So Peter out, Ibrahima in. Ibrahima's 20 years old, kind of, player for player there. I'm excited, Primo, for this guy. We did get a huge huge chunk of his fans just followed WATV when we posted that he was signed, and that's what got us over 15K. I do have to send a shout out to all my folks from Senegal, all my folks from the Ibrahima Sal Hive. Hey, shout out to my G's. Thank you for helping us get to 15K. It genuinely was you guys. It genuinely was y'all. When we posted Ibrahima was getting signed to Austin FC 2, almost 100 followers, mate. So shout out to the folks that follow Ibrahima. You now follow We're Austin TV, your number one news source for everything Austin FC content related. We're there. We live, eat, and breathe Austin FC. So you found home. Ibrahima, best of luck, mate. I wished him luck and excited to be there Fridays under the bright lights of Palmer Field. And I will say this. Those lights are bright, Primo. Not everybody has been able to handle those bright lights under Palmer Field. You might play it down and say, oh, FCito, oh, Austin FC2. Don't get confused, guys. The Palmer lights shine very, very bright, and not everybody has been able to handle them. Only few players have survived it. And you see the insane turnover that Austin FC2 has, mate. And I will say this, it's not always because they don't have the quality. I think sometimes the wrong decisions have been made. And I'll point this out real quick. Earlier today, I got a message, Primo. Wyatt Harding, academy player, former academy player, discarded. They said they probably told him he wasn't good enough. Cut him. He went to Navy college, right? You know how Army and Navy play? He went to the Navy college. Kept posting stuff on his story. Training, touches, training, boom, boom, boom. He made his debut in Malta. Off the bench, scored a goal with his first touch. Scored a goal with his first touch, Primo, in Malta. Yeah, you might say, oh, wait, well, Malta, what kind of level is that? Another gentleman, Cole Coughlin, playing for Kilmarnock FC, or Kilmarnock in the Scottish Premiership. Oh, but the Scottish Premiership, really? What are we doing? You know what I'm saying, Primo? Like, sometimes we make the right decisions. I will acknowledge that, but we've made some wrong decisions. Another thing, Primo. Recently, the Austin Americans, just in the past couple of days, the Austin American Citizens posted the top 50 athletes in Texas soccer. A lot of them in the Austin area, you know what they were? Former Austin FC Academy players. Former. We make wrong decisions too, bro. It's not always about painting Austin FC's academy system and Austin FC2 as a bright picture. Wrong decisions have been made as well, mate. And that's the reality of it. That's the reality of it, brother. Former. These guys are getting opportunities elsewhere, and they're not working out for Austin FC2. Well, how competitive is Austin FC2? You see what I'm saying? So I'm excited for this season. Man. I'm excited, but anything that you want to add?
I mean, it's exciting stuff, man. It's we have Austin FC, but there's also Austin FC 2. There's a lot of news, a lot of great stuff that happens around that team. Like you mentioned, the new signing Brahima. Welcome to Austin FC 2. All the fans that came over, you said it yourself. You're there all the time, brother. So you're there. You're gonna be that bridge. I know you ask great questions when you're out there. Hopefully, you get Ibrahima on the interview, and it's exciting stuff, man. There's so much more that goes on outside of Austin FC for sure. Whether it's the second team, whether it's the academy, that's a great what you mentioned earlier about the Austin State, and I didn't know that. That's stuff like that. That's great stuff.
There's a huge paywall in front of that article, which I don't agree with, but the Statesman's got to make their money too. I'm not gonna hate on them. There's a huge paywall, but the Statesman's got to make their money. But shout out to my chief Kobe Gordon. I see a lot of people are actually reposting that article, and I love it because Kobe works so hard, bro. He was with Alex every single week, midweek, at those media availabilities. Kobe Gordon, he works his buttocks off, bro. And I was really happy that a lot of people were sharing his article. And not only that, I was happy that high school Texas soccer players are getting attention, because it's not all the players in MLS Next are gonna get the attention, but there's still guys in the high school level that have gone undiscovered that have not gotten that opportunity. And MLS Next is great, yes, but it is not the pinnacle. It is not an automatic that you're going to go pro if you go through the system. That is not the case. You can go through ECNL, you can go through a regular academy on the outside of it, not ever touch an Austin FC academy, training jersey or training top or the pitch of Austin FC's academy, and you can still go pro. That's not the only way. So, we can go off and off and off and off and off about this topic. But last thing I'll say is, Ibrahima, I'm excited to see you Friday nights at Palmer Field. I'm excited to, talk to him. If his stats, kind of follow him, this is going to be a player that's going to be very exciting to watch. I had some folks from Senegal that I know that friendships that I picked up through the years covering Austin FC, and immediately they reached out and they were like, "Oh my God, Ibrahim Assal, he's one of the most exciting young players coming up right now." So exciting for this, Ibrahim. I'm not gonna hype him up to be a savior for Austin FC too, but he's gonna be somebody to definitely watch, and I'm ready for those games coming up. And by the way, their preseason schedule was just announced. So unfortunately, they're all closed. They're not open to any kind of public whatsoever. But we will be reporting any kind of information that we can on full-time results and whatnot, pretty well. But alrighty, last but not least, I do want to get some European conversations in here, brother, because a lot of stuff has happened in the past couple of weeks. Number one, we had to go through the absolute kind of walk-up shame as Real Madrid was defeated by Barcelona in the Super Cup final, primo. We talked about it a little bit on last week's episode, but I feel like I was a little bit too salty. We're still kind of recovering mentally from the cloud of Alex, kind of announcing he was, kind of leaving or whatnot. And maybe I was unfair on Lamine Yamal. And I think instead of being critical on Barcelona, primo, I think we need to be critical of Real Madrid. And I say that because Xabi Alonso, it is being reported that he stepped down from the job because of the disrespect that he was receiving from his players, from the board, kind of from the media. He went from being an admired, mythical figure in the Real Madrid community to just being somebody ridiculed like nothing, brother. Like if he was Mariano in the matter of weeks, brother. And we all saw it happen. And I'm kind of happy that he's out of Real Madrid for multiple reasons, but one of the main ones is that when players buy into him, you saw what he did with Leverkusen. The players at Real Madrid are just bratty. They're just, they're entitled. They're all about the image. And I miss those days when you had 11 dogs out there, just 11 dogs that were just thinking about feeding their families. And now you have guys worried about their next follower on social media. And that's the reality of a lot of teams. And unfortunately, it's the reality of Real Madrid right now, Primo. And I know Real Madrid is a very key topic for us. It's a very close topic to us. And I think a lot of this is what a lot of fans have been kind of maybe wanting to get to Real Madrid's fans' heads in the past. I think a lot of people are going to say, I've been telling you about Vini. I've been telling you about this Real Madrid culture, this Real Madrid atmosphere. It's true and it's not true, Primo. Because Real Madrid is always a winning culture. It's kind of like an arrogant, I must always win culture. But this new generation of athletes, it's almost never been seen at the Real Madrid stadium before. I mean, I'm talking about the beef that Mbappe supposedly has with whoever. Vinicius Jr. crying in the tunnel as the fans boo his name. Valverde going from hero to scoring a goal to being booed. I mean, this is some stuff that I've never seen. This is some stuff that I hope ends soon, Primo. What do you think, Arbeloa is in there now, and how long is he even going to last? I respect him. I think he's a very strong character figure in there right now. But what is he going to do football-wise? I saw something that said that if he wins trophies, he's going to stay. Well, guess what? You just got knocked out of the Copa del Rey by a team that I can't even remember their name because that's how irrelevant they are. So where is this train going?
Oh man, right now it's not looking good, but I don't know, man. I've seen Real Madrid have these amazing teams before, and I think what's happening is everyone wants to be the main guy, right? Everyone wants to be the face of Real Madrid. You got Bellingham, you got Mbappe, Vini, Rodrigo, maybe, but really I think it's between those three. And if I'm being honest, it might sound crazy. I don't know. I think what needs to happen is everyone needs to understand that this is Real Madrid, right? And no player is going to be bigger than Real Madrid ever. Not even Cristiano Ronaldo was bigger than Real Madrid. And I think that's what these players need to understand. Arbeloa needs to, if he's planning on being a permanent manager, he needs to step up, man. He needs to tell these guys like, hey, listen, no one's bigger than anyone in this club. And if it is one person, it would be Mbappe, to be honest, because he's the one scoring the goals. He's the one putting up the numbers.
Courtois,
And
Courtois is a phenomenal figure, brother.
Courtois, but then players like Courtois, Valverde, these guys need to step up. These guys need to step up more. Valverde, I think, especially because you're the captain. I think he needs to get these boys in place, and I think
What do people want from Valverde, bro? I don't understand the
I just
hate
need.
towards
I
him.
I
I
feel like
don't.
there. I just feel like maybe he just needs a little bit more fire. I think just a little bit more fire. But then again, there's also I don't see any leadership in that locker room. You have big names, but you don't have no leadership. The only
Yeah.
leadership that you had is in Milan right now. Killing it,
Oof.
and
Oof.
I think that's one of the main factors that affected this team this season. I think for
I
sure.
agree. That's a great take.
Um,
That's a great take right there,
and
brother.
so that's you have that lacking. You have egos, and it's not a good mix. It's not a good mix.
Well,
But they're coming off a win. They got a dub, and second in the league. Barca just dropped points today, also, so they're a point away from first place. And we'll see how it goes. There's still a little bit of
yeah.
hope left.
Yeah, true, true. Now, Madrid defeated Levante 2-0. They were defeated by Albacete 3-2 in the round of 16 of the Copa del Rey. Historically, Madrid has been so bad in the CDR. But you're right, Barca did drop points. They lost to La Real Sociedad. Big, big win for La Real. Almost got to thank them for that one. And, no, a little bit of La Liga talk there. Barca, Marcus Rashford getting a goal for them. I always love it whenever Rashy scores. I know he plays for Barca, but Rashford's a player that I always, kind of followed, his whole kind of career. I hate that it didn't work out for him with Man United because he nearly, he really loves that club. It is what it is. He's now a Barcelona player, but it is going to be a really interesting, La Liga title race. Like you said, it's very minimal margins. You can't really drop too many points because that other team is right there, right behind you. And I know folks that are really into the Premier League, like Brian, is going to say, "Well, La Liga is trash because look how Madrid is doing, and they're still in it to win the league." And you kind of got to look at that argument too and go, "Well, oh, it's kind of true." In the Premier League, you drop points, you're out. You know what I'm saying? In La Liga, you can have a terrible, moment in the Spanish Super Cup and you're still in it, La Liga. But anyways, Primo, we do got to get out of here, mate. I just want to point out that the website is almost back up. So keep an eye out on that. Shout out to everybody on the Patreon, everybody on the Discord. We will be back next week to cover anything that's Austin FC related, anything that comes out with Facundo Torres and all that stuff. But we'll see what happens because it might be really icy, might be cold, might have some snow here in Austin, Texas. So get ready for that. Prepare. Go get your toilet paper if that's what you do whenever these crisis moments happen. But anyways, Primo, we'll see you soon, mate. Have a good night and be safe, brother.